The big news is that Miko Eala just unveiled Alexandra Eala's secret, and the entire WTA is reeling in shock. This was information that was meant to remain hidden indefinitely. For months, the Eala team maintained a total lockdown, keeping it confidential and protecting it from the media and competing coaches. But all it took was one off-the-cuff remark, a single unguarded interview, a brief slip-up from the person who knows Alexandra Eala better than anyone. And with that, the entire women's tennis scene has been thrown into turmoil. Miko Eala, Alex's older brother, a former university tennis talent, and the one who has been with her through every single challenge of this incredible saga, just let everything out. And the revelation has caused coaches to drop everything top 10 players to arrange emergency strategy sessions and the WTA leadership to lie awake at 3 in the morning asking themselves, how did this escape our notice? Welcome again to Champions Tennisics, the one and only channel online that brings you the most sensational, explosive, and unbelievably compelling stories directly from the world of tennis. No holding back. No softening the blow, just 100% raw drama served with a dose of brilliant insight. If you're joining us for the first time, strap in and click that subscribe button immediately, because the story we're about to break down is a once-in-a-lifetime event. And for all you returning champions, you're already aware that we don't mess around here. We investigate thoroughly, we push boundaries, and we explore topics that the conventional tennis media is too afraid to cover. So get your refreshments, settle in, and let's jump right into the single biggest story-making waves in women's tennis today. We are discussing the 20-year-old Filipino prodigy who has transformed from a promising young talent into a proven, undeniable, and utterly formidable powerhouse. We are discussing Alexandra Eala and the confidential strategy that is completely altering the game. Now, before we dive into the stunning details that Miko Eala just revealed to everyone, it's essential to go back and provide the complete context. To fully grasp the importance of what's unfolding, you have to understand the sheer scale of Alexandra Eala's meteoric ascent. Just 12 months prior, her name was only faintly familiar to the average tennis enthusiast. Perhaps you had seen a news brief about her junior achievements or caught a glimpse of her playing in a preliminary round. She was certainly exciting, and without a doubt she had potential, but the prevailing view in the tennis community was that she required more development. She needed more experience. She needed a couple more years battling it out on the smaller circuits before she could be considered a true contender against the top players. The analysts all said it. The commentators all said it. Even some of her staunchest supporters quietly worried that her move to the highest level of competition was happening too quickly. Well, Alexandra Eala took note of every single one of those reservations, stored them in her fiercely competitive and brilliant mind, and then went on to achieve something truly breathtaking. She didn't merely show her critics they were mistaken. She absolutely demolished them. She torched their predictions. She took their cautious timelines, balled them up, and tossed them into a bonfire. Because what Alex accomplished at the 2026 Miami Open wasn't just impressive, it was legendary, game-changing, the kind of performance that reshapes the entire conversation about what's achievable for an athlete of her age and origins. Let's rewind to that electrifying and unforgettable fortnight in Miami. When Alex arrived, she was in the grand scheme of things not a major name. A player who was rising consistently but hadn't yet had the kind of breakthrough moments that define a career. And then her matches began. First up was the defeat of Jelena Ostapenko, the powerful Latvian player known for having one of the most punishing forehands in tennis. She's a former French Open winner who has left numerous elite players looking utterly defeated. Ostapenko started aggressively, as she typically does, attempting to overwhelm Alex before she could find her rhythm. But Alex simply weathered the storm, redirecting the power with incredible accuracy and sending Ostapenko home with a determined expression that showed she was there to win. Next up was Paula Badosa, the skilled Spanish star who was enjoying one of the hottest streaks of her professional life. She was sent packing. After her was Madison Keys, the American, with one of the most formidable serves in the sport, who can close out a match in an instant when she's on form. She was defeated too. And then came the match that sent a tremor through the entire tennis world. Alexandra Eala, at 20 years old, found herself across the net from IGTCH, the world #1, and quite possibly the most dominant female player of her time. The athlete who has ruled over women's tennis with absolute authority. So, what did Alex proceed to do? She performed with a level of control intelligence and devastating precision that you will rarely ever witness from an athlete at any stage of their career, and she made IGTCH appear completely and totally dominated. The entire tennis community was stunned. Coaches were rewatching the match frame by frame. Commentators were struggling to find words. The one question everyone was asking was the same. How does something like this occur? Where did this skill level come from? What in the world is the secret within the Eala camp? The public statements were professional and reserved. During press events, Alex gave all the standard answers. She gave credit to her staff, her relatives, her academy, and her dedication. She mentioned improving her technique and tactics and trusting in her long-term plan. All of it was perfectly sensible and entirely factual, yet it was only scratching the surface of a much more complex and compelling reality. This is where Miko Eala enters the picture. Miko is far more than just a cheering older sibling in the stands waving a banner. He is a crucial figure in the Eala machine. He has stood by Alex's side during every punishing practice, every stressful travel day, every instance of uncertainty, and every victorious moment. He has been an insider observing her development up close. He's got the inside story. And in a recent conversation that sent tremors through the tennis world, Miko peeled back a layer just enough to show that everything we assumed about Alex Eala's development is merely the prelude. He teased. And folks, these teases were packed with meaning. These were not some casual remarks made during training sessions that were so private they were hidden from the watchful eyes of the broader tennis scene. He mentioned strategies formulated in secret game plans, put together with surgical accuracy, all designed to target the weaknesses of the biggest stars in women's tennis. He spoke of Alex going through training programs so intense and specific that if rival coaches ever discovered the actual methods, they would be thrown into a complete panic. And he made it abundantly clear that the version of Alexandra Eala the public has seen is far from the finished product. This could be the most intimidating return in tennis right now. This is Alexandra Eala. What makes her return so lethal? For starters, she anticipates the serve incredibly early. After that, she takes hold on. Let's talk about the masterminds who built this weapon, because the influence of some of the greatest thinkers in tennis is evident all over Alexandria. The Rafa Academy is where the narrative really heats up, and yes, we've all seen the polished photos and the feel-good stories about her time there. But the real transformation took place during the closed-door practices on the private courts and in the late afternoon hitting sessions that were intentionally kept off social media and away from any camera crews. When it was revealed last year that Alex had a private one-on-one session with Rafael Nadal, it was presented as a lovely mentorship moment where a legendary player offered some time to a promising young talent. It was very charming, very wholesome. But anyone familiar with Rafael Nadal understands he doesn't bother with superficial gestures. He isn't just out there hitting a few balls for the cameras. When Rafa gets on court and genuinely connects with a player, he is imparting something truly significant. He's transferring the entire architecture of his game, the mental and physical foundation that made him the most successful clay court player in history and one of the fiercest competitors the sport has ever witnessed. Alex confirmed that Nadal offered her direct advice on her forehand covering its trajectory spin rate and the ability to generate angles that turn a power hitter's own force against them. Yet Miko's recent statement strongly suggests the coaching went well beyond technical adjustments. The Nadal influence on Alex Eala seems to cross into the territory of psychological warfare and mental fortitude. That famous ability to make time slow down under duress and choose the correct option when the stakes are at their absolute peak. There is also the huge impact of veteran coaches like Danny Gomez and Joan Bosch, pillars of the academy system, whose knowledge of how to develop a complete professional is second to none. It appears that this collection of brilliant minds has engineered something truly original. They've created a style of play that takes Alex's natural ability and elevates it with a degree of strategic complexity that the WTA has never seen from a player her age. The devastating proof of this concept arrived at the 2026 Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships, one of the most important events outside of the Grand Slams. Every major star was present. The draw was stacked, and Alex Eala showed up ready to make her mark. Her opening round match against the seasoned Romanian veteran Sarkersi was a brilliant lesson in tactical execution. Cerci is not an opponent you can easily intimidate. She's been a pro for many years. She hits with tremendous force and prefers to set the match's tempo from the baseline, overpowering her rivals with the sheer weight of her shots. Traditional thinking suggests a 20-year-old should be apprehensive, hesitant, and just focused on survival. Alexa clearly missed that memo. She came out and followed a game plan with breathtaking precision, absorbing Cerci's power and redirecting it with angles and spin that constantly kept the Romanian off-kilter always scrambling and unable to find the comfortable groove she wanted. The 7-5-6-4 final score hardly captures how completely Alex was in command for large portions of that contest, and when she let loose that visceral roar at match point, with the noise echoing across the Dubai court beneath the stadium lights as thousands of Filipino fans waved their flags and cheered wildly. That wasn't just the sound of relief from winning a hard-fought battle. That was the sound of a secret weapon firing perfectly. Her run at the Dubai tournament was eventually stopped in the quarterfinals by Coco. And this is where the plot becomes incredibly compelling in a way that even the most casual fan should notice. Coco Gauff is the world number 4. She's a current Grand Slam winner. She stands as one of the most athletic, strategically sound, and mentally resilient players on the entire circuit. She represents precisely the type of opponent who, by any normal measure, should be too great a challenge for a player at Alex's current stage of her career. The 6-love 6-2 scoreline indicates an easy routine win for the American. But anyone who watched that match closely, anyone who understood the underlying dynamics at play will tell you an entirely different story was unfolding. Coco Gauff exploded out of the blocks with an intensity that was almost jarring in its ferocity. She wasn't trying to ease her way into the match. She didn't take any time to find her rhythm. She went straight for the kill from the very first ball, launching massive serves, hitting with pure aggression, and denying Alex even a second to breathe or get settled. And that makes you wonder why. What would compel the 4th-ranked player in the world to unleash her full arsenal against a 20-year-old in a quarterfinal match? Miko Eala's own comments reveal the entire story. It's because word had already gotten around to Gauff's camp. The reconnaissance had been completed. The Eala blueprint, even the limited version visible to the public, was setting off so many alarms that one of the planet's elite players felt compelled to use extreme measures just to keep Alex from finding her rhythm. In the world of tennis, the line separating an easy victory from an all-out battle is razor thin. Gauff did win handily, that's true, but her strategic approach to the match speaks volumes about the respect, or perhaps the dread, that Alex Eala now commands from the very top of the sport. Even with that loss, Alex departed from Dubai, with her chin held high, securing nearly $100,000 in prize money, along with 215 ranking points that shot her to a new personal best, world number 40. She holds the record as the highest-ranked Filipino tennis player in the sport's entire history. She is 20 years old. Her journey has only just begun. Now we should explore the psychological side of this story, because it might just be the most overlooked aspect of the whole Eala phenomenon. Despite all the valid conversations about her form strategy and the support system at the Nadal Academy, what could truly separate Alexandra Eala from every other talented young hopeful trying to break into the WTA top 10 right now is her mental game. The mental resilience this young woman shows on a consistent basis is truly exceptional. She functions with a degree of emotional control that most athletes don't achieve until their late 20s, if at all. Her ability to isolate and manage pressure seems almost otherworldly. She steps onto a court to face a Grand Slam winner in front of a crowd of thousands bearing the hopes of her country, and she makes it look like a casual walk in the park. Don't ever confuse that composure with a lack of intensity, because when the situation demands it, Alex Eala has demonstrated she has a powerful competitive drive and an unwavering refusal to be underestimated. A viral moment that warrants much more discussion occurred at the Italian Open when Alex was on the receiving end of questions from a journalist who frankly had no right to be probing in such a manner. Following a hard-fought loss, this specific reporter aggressively questioned Alex's mental condition, framing questions in a condescending, dismissive, and honestly insulting way, as if she were a delicate child needing special treatment instead of the elite professional athlete she is. Alex stared that reporter straight in the eyes, never flinched, and offered one of the most subtly devastating comebacks you will ever see from an athlete in any field. She said plainly and with absolute certainty that she was present to talk about tennis and had no desire to be analyzed or defined by the outcome of a single contest. The entire room fell silent. The reporter seemed to wish the ground would swallow them up. Meanwhile, Alex just carried on cool and collected, prepared for the next inquiry. That single instance showed you everything about this young woman's character. She is not interested in being a nice, compliant part of a narrative. She is there for the victory and will not permit anyone, the press, her opponents, or the burden of expectation to make her feel small. So which players are genuinely staying up at night over this? Let's call them out, because Miko's suggestions were deliberately vague, but the message behind them is perfectly clear. Let's begin with Iga Świątek. She has already had a first-hand taste of what Alex's style can accomplish in a high-stakes match. And you can be absolutely sure her coaching staff has pored over every single frame of that Miami match footage with a microscope, hunting for weaknesses. Aryna Sabalenka, ranked #1 globally, and arguably the tour's most physically imposing player, is precisely the kind of heavy hitter the Eala blueprint seems tailor-made to dismantle. Jessica Pegula, Elena Rybakina, Jasmine Paolini. They all possess their own unique tools, playstyles, and weak spots. And the frightening message behind Miko's statements is that the Eala team has been systematically observing all of them carefully, crafting specific customized strategies for every person she might face. It is comparable to how a chess grandmaster games out several opening moves for a crucial tournament. These are not just spontaneous tactical shifts made during a match. This is methodical, deeply researched, long-range strategic work that has been going on quietly while the sports world's attention was elsewhere. Let's also pull back for a second to admire the truly remarkable social and cultural backdrop to what's going on. Alexandra Eala is more than just a tennis player enjoying a successful season. She is becoming a historic figure right before our eyes. She comes from the Philippines, a nation with a massive, fervent, and incredibly loyal sports following, but with a scant history of success at the highest tiers of professional tennis. The weight of what she is accomplishing is impossible to overstate. Each time she plays in a major tournament, the Filipino community worldwide mobilizes with a force and passion that completely transforms the venue's energy. In Dubai, portions of the audience sounded as though they had been airlifted straight from Manila. The flags, the chanting, the incredible volume of encouragement, it fosters an atmosphere that is simultaneously uplifting and crushing. It is the type of pressure that has mentally broken athletes with much more experience than Alex. But she doesn't just cope with it. She flourishes under it. She harnesses that energy, transforming it into sharp focus, fierce aggression, and solid self-belief. There's a symbiotic dynamic developing between Alexandra Eala and her fanbase that is honestly inspiring to see. She fills them with happiness and pride, and in return they give her the strength to overcome any obstacle. But take a wider view, a much wider one. You'll see a 20-year-old from the Philippines who has emerged as one of the most fascinating figures in international sports. You'll see a sportswoman who has gracefully managed the immense weight of being a symbol for her whole country, showing elegance, integrity, and a fierce will to win. You'll see a competitor who at the start of 2025 wasn't even ranked in the top 50, yet finished the year at the WTA Finals, the elite showcase for the season's top 8, and entered 2026 with her best ever ranking and the self-assurance of someone who truly belongs at the top. And in Dubai, you're witnessing the start of what could be the most critical phase of her season. A known adversary in Baptiste, an overwhelmingly enthusiastic crowd of Filipino supporters poised to generate an energy that could make the desert itself tremble. A competitor with a point to make a drive to focus and a battle to win. That isn't a setup for a letdown. That is the blueprint for something amazing. Regarding Teresa Valentova, she is worthy of every single compliment the tennis community can offer. She's phenomenal. She's dauntless. Her intense competitive spirit is a clear inheritance from her mother, an Olympic athlete passed down through her genes. She is destined to become a top 10 player. Remember these words right here on this channel. Teresa Valentova is going to break into the top 10. It's only a matter of time, and considering how fast she's moving up, it could be much earlier than we all anticipate. However, the ILA narrative has a long way to go. In truth, it's only just beginning. The greatest parts of her story have not yet been told. And the story being told at this very moment in Dubai, witnessed by 1 million devoted Filipino fans, is a special one. This particular chapter may turn out to be the most wonderful of them all. Champions tennis enthusiasts, we need you to chime in. Okay, Eala Nation and our fantastic worldwide champions tennis community. We're eager to get your opinion on this, and it's a significant question, so leave your thoughts in the comments. We have 3 urgent questions on our minds today, and we want to know what you think. First, do you believe Alexandra Eala can figure out the Valentova challenge? What strategic changes does she have to implement to reverse the outcome of their matchups? Is it a problem with her technique, her mental game, or a blend of the two? Post your detailed thoughts below. We're well aware this community has many sharp tennis intellects, and we truly enjoy reading your detailed analyses. Second, what's your prediction for Eala's performance in Dubai? Can she get to the quarterfinals or the semifinals? Is it possible she could win the entire tournament and earn a WTA 1000 title, marking her most significant victory yet?